Hi,
And,
Prigya.
and today we'll be discussing about how to get a patent on software.
Finally, finally, we've been dodging this topic for a long time.
Yeah, I know there were a lot of requests regarding when are we doing this topic? We need to know about software patents and things like that. So yes, today is the time. So Shalini, opening remarks.
Opening remarks, per se.
Yes.
Computer programs per se are not patentable. As usual, if I break it down, my opening remarks are that computer programs by and of themselves are not protected by Patent Act, but they are protected by another legislation. And there are things that require computer program to for its functioning, and those inventions can be patented. I think that's in a nutshell. Okay, bye.
Yeah, and there is a lot to discuss about. Soumyadeep was so excited about, when are you doing this? And he's also here finally. So we are discussing it. So all of you who are watching this can put your comments and questions in the chat box and we'll be able to find them and answer them.
So, Prigya, what is you work closely with uh, 3K computer related inventions. So, what's your experience?
So yes, as you said, computer program per se are not patentable. Computer program per se are protected under some other act, which is the Copyright Act. But again, computer program per se are not patentable.
So,
So
what is that per se?
So, Shalini, Indian patent office has given to the guidelines two times, I think three times, but mainly in 2016 and 17, and after that there were no guidelines.
Right.
So, the latest guidelines, which we can consider as 2017 guideline, which I feel has now become very old because of development of new technologies like crypto, blockchain, and everything which has taken place after 2017. So in 2017 guidelines, they mentioned that per se is by itself. So
Yes.
by itself or functioning on its own and things like that. But they also mentioned that while looking at the invention or the inventive step, like if we go deeper, we
Hmm.
have four things: novelty, inventive step, utility, and subject matter eligibility. So when we take into consideration the novelty and the key inventive step, to find if that is the heart of the invention is computer program or it is doing something extra than mere computer functioning. So
Right.
I think there somewhere lies the difference between whether it can or cannot be patentable.
Okay. And in your experience, how easy or difficult it is to, you know what I'm getting at, how easy or difficult it is to slip a computer program under the guise of doing something else. Like, can that be done?
So the answer is, again, it depends on case to case basis. To give you an example, for example, we have Ola. Similarly, we have competitor Uber. Similarly, there are other apps. So apps like these, it is very difficult to get a patent on.
Right.
But again, uh, we need to tweak the technology in the sense, can we do something about it? To give you one example, I think I have shared this example earlier as well. We had, Google Duo. I don't know whether you have used it or not, but there is an option in that Duo, like during the ringer time, you can see the photograph of or the video of the person who is calling you. So
Yeah.
that is one feature. So uh, we filed an app similar to that, But in that app, like, it was also an app at the end of the day. But while drafting the patent application, we did not mention anything related to software. We
Okay.
got drafted the application in the sense that it is a two-way communication through separate channels. One is your normal 2G, your normal mobile network. Other is your internet network, and there are different channels through which communication is taking place, and communication takes place in such and such manner. So
Right.
I think because of that, we were able to get a grant on the patent, and our inventor was very happy. But if we had drafted the application in the sense that it is a computer program or a app, it would have been very difficult.
Right. So why is there this strong resistance to computer program? I mean, I know it is covered under Copyright Act, but is that the only reason?
I don't think so. See, we live in a world where everything is technology, everything is shifting to a sense that it is somewhere or the other related to computers, or
Right.
some kind of automation is taking place. So I think it's need of the time that we start giving patents on computer. And if not, that is one of my suggestions which I keep putting forward very bluntly. If not main patents, maybe some kind of utility patents which are valid for a lesser time, because the technology is growing so fast.
Yes, and I think the law is always trailing behind
Correct, correct,
technology, and
correct.
this also we have repeated before in some other
Mhm.
on some other evening. But here's the thing, though: why are we? I understand looking at source code as an artistic work, but what the computer program is achieving, even though it is a computer program per se, the outcome that is achieving, even though it is in the digital world, it is no less than any system or method or product or process patent that we have in say chemistry or biochemistry.
Yeah,
So with all the advances that are happening in crypto and NFT and Web3 and all sorts of things, exciting things are happening, and I feel that we are watching the world go past us.
yeah.
And yes, I understand there are some frivolous patents, like I think the Amazon one-click patent was was one of those things that should not have been granted. But by and large, if you make the, if you're filtering and you keep the pores slightly bigger and let more inventions through, because we had one patent that we had for, it was a surveillance mechanism using IoT.
Hmm.
And in the sense that, let's say you have a, whole machine workshop, and there is some pump, and you have, so we had like a surveillance device which takes data from monitors that continue, rather than having a chokidar or a security guard go and monitor everything. This would check all the parameters, fluids, whatever, valves, everything is working fine, send the data to the cloud, and then some processing used to go on. And we did not get the patent because, you know the prior art cited was IoT was the search word. So everything related, I mean, there was like a document where every second word was IoT. So there was no way we could, I mean, yeah, we could say that we are not, IoT is something that is used commonly and so on. But we were not able to overcome uh, that that objection of that it is a computer program per se. So it becomes very difficult to explain to someone who is not from that domain
Correct.
that how you are not a program per se. So let's define a program. What's a program?
Okay, so program is a set of computational steps.
Correct.
Yeah,
Which you feed into the computer,
correct,
and and with when you throw in some input, the if given that if the computer understands the language, it will give you a logical, sensible output,
correct.
right? And then you can use that out. So how does this become a literary work?
So literary work becomes when it is just a program and written in a language which is a computer language. So it is considered as a literary work then, and as
Okay,
in, yeah,
right.
copyright act comes into picture.
So, okay, I'm okay with that. Let's say it's written in Python and I send the source code in for literary work, copyright registration, and I get it. But that program of mine is still okay. If it's doing something as frivolous as 2 plus 2 equals 4, or find the sum of two natural numbers, or find the average of 10 find the average of n natural numbers,
Correct.
then I understand it. There is no inventive step. But if that program is doing something where it is connected to, yes, of course, if I show that it is connected to some machine and something, some inventive step is happening, then it does get. But that program itself, and correct me if I'm not understanding this properly. But let's say that because I'm feeding in something that is an inventive step,
Yeah.
that comprises an inventive step, then what is the problem?
So that's what saying that there is a problem, there is a gap somewhere in understanding of computer program per se or not. Like we and the patent office understands like normal computer programs like addition, subtraction, algorithms, they cannot be patented. But
Right.
when there are things like deep learning,
Hmm.
machine learning, device to device communication, IoT, in crypto, for example, blockchain,
Hmm.
then it is not mere computer program, because extra computational steps are being performed which mere computer functioning cannot perform, like a
Okay.
general purpose computer cannot perform. So I think a good test is to an extent whether a general purpose computer is able to do this or not, what kind of inventive step is there, or what kind of novelty is there. So that is a stronger sense, and I think to some extent if we are able to establish novelty and inventive step to a greater in extent, it helps in establishing that it is not a mere computer program.
Right. So then we need computer for sure. We need a computer network. We
Yeah,
need some other apparatus preferably,
correct,
right? That it helps to prove our case. That helps to prove our point.
correct,
Okay.
absolutely.
So if I'm talking of a computer related invention, then who then we also should we talk about mathematical methods and
Yeah,
business methods, since they
so
all,
the
when the
three
objection
include
comes in.
everything. Business methods, mathematical methods.
Yeah. So mathematical methods, yeah, of course, if it's something like find the square root of this or the find the cube of that, that becomes a very, very known mathematical thing. But a complex mathematical method which I have invented, which I have come up with, I have derived, and it helps in achieving a tangible object, then what is the problem? So encoding or encryption technology, what is the problem with that?
The problem with that is what I feel is a problem with mathematical equations and mathematical even algorithms. The problem is uh, our act or patent law says product or a process are patentable. So
Yes.
till the time we are not linking it with a product or a process, it is a problem, because it is mathematical equations will not fall into either products or processes.
I understand. But now let's say we are talking about the for drift velocity, equation for drift velocity,
Correct.
or equation for say hydroplaning,
Correct.
how uh, solid surfaces move when there is water
Correct.
on another solid surface. So yes, in abstract, it seems like what is the function of this? What is the purpose of this? But we have Bernoulli's equation and it's used in aeronautical engineering. We have hydroplaning that happens every day. Now it's pouring cats and dogs here. So almost on an everyday basis, I'm seeing collisions, bike and car collisions, car and truck collisions, and it's horrible. And it's all because of the vehicle not able to control itself because of hydroplaning. So here I have actual
Use.
product process.
Yeah. So the thing is, Shalini, if we are linking it to a product or a process, I think we can patent it to the extent like how we are using our equations to implement that product or a process.
No, we don't get it. I mean, yes, we get it for that product
For
or
the product,
process,
yeah,
but we have to delete the equation.
equation, yeah, that is there, but I think that is correct because then it will also fall in the domain of mere discovery, because it is a kind of discovery. I always say that we can get a Nobel Prize for doing something like that but not a patent because we can't have monopoly over mathematical equations.
That is true. That is true. But if the mathematical equations um, they have application in industry, they invariably do. You know, it's just that how when we studied mathematics, we are taught that in one room, and then we are not taught how to link it with anything
Correct.
outside that room. And I think that is a problem with even my advanced level physics textbooks,
Yes.
is that within the covers of the textbook I understand how it works, but it's a whole different. Now when I see patents, I understand how it connects with the rest of the world, but
Correct.
you know what I mean.
Definitely.
So what should we keep in mind when we are drafting computer related invention?
Okay, so I always start with this. I think very few people talk about this. That whenever especially computer networks are involved and a single device is not involved. For example, IoT. I have
Hmm,
one device which is interacting with several other devices. So
right.
I need first thing is I need to draft the claims from the perspective of one device only,
Yes.
because if we do not do that, we are not able to analyze where the infringement is taking place. For
Right.
example, my device is located in India, the other IoT device is there in US, the third one is there in Europe somewhere. So where would that infringement take place? For that I need to understand how my device is working, so I should take a patent on a single device. If I'm
Right.
not doing that, I'm intermixing all the networking components together. I'm sorry, we'll never be able to prove infringement even if we get a patent.
Yes, that's true.
So I think one is this. Then it's good to attach as many hardware components as possible. It's good to show how the communication is happening. It's good to show what kind of processing, not processing in terms of computer processing, but what kind of methodology you are using to convert one set of inputs to some tangible output. So those methodology is good. Drafting a method claim first is always better, and then use it to draft a system claim. And
Okay.
yeah, I think that are some of my and don't write module is doing this unless it is intermixed with some hardware component. Otherwise, we'll get an objection from the patent office. Like which what is performing, what everything is happening in the air. We have to have some product
Yes.
associated with that.
So hardware component is necessary.
Yeah.
And it cannot be just something for the sake of it. Like, but tell me something. This requirement of hardware, we always have a hardware
Yeah,
even
it
to
can be
run
a
the
small
software.
hardware as small as a processor. It can be that as well. But we need to define that something is doing it, because we saw some of the earlier application, not now 10 years older application. Uh, at that time the technology and the patent law both were not developed. So we have
Right.
seen applications writing one module is doing this, another module is doing this, but there is no processor. How are those modules working? Anything cannot work in the air. So need to have some hardware. It can be as small as a processor.
Okay. And then to say that the instructions are stored in the processor, and these are the instructions that are stored in the processor. That works.
That like defining it in the sense of a method, like
Hmm.
what method that processor is performing.
Hmm. But uh, so merely retrieving something, let's say the processor is going and retrieving something. I don't know. These are the objections I face, and so I always wonder. And of course, I do answer them, and it gets cleared. But to have that clarity going in. So that uh, I think that it needs to catch up. I think the law needs to catch up with
Yeah,
the
well,
world.
I
So let's
think.
talk a little bit about the computer related guidelines.
Yes, Shalini, first I think we'll take few questions which are there
Sure.
in our comments. So Jayesh says, "Hi Jayesh, in
Hi, guys.
recent discussion with a senior lawyer, I was given to understand that we do not have a concept of utility patent in India. It was proposed to go for MTS priority patent, where the applicant gets a period of 12 months from date of initial filing that can be used for securing the previous date." So yes, I think the the comment is correct. We do not have a concept of utility patent. Not utility patent as in US. In US, the normal patents are called utility patents.
Hmm.
But in certain countries, there is a separate concept of utility patent, where the patent is given for a period of say about 10 years or 12 years, and a normal patent is given for a period of 20 years
Mhm.
from date of filing. But in India, we do not have that concept. We have one single concept, which is the patent, which is given for 20 years, and the 12-month time period is correct. We can file a provisional application, and within 12 months, we can file a complete application. Shalini, would you like to add?
Yeah, just I would just like to add one thing that US distinguishes its patents. They call its regular patents as utility patents, and it
Correct,
calls its designs as design patents.
correct, correct, correct.
Whereas we call our designs as just design application.
So Aisha says, if a normal computer can't execute the program, then will it have an industrial application? Would you like to
Mm.
say something?
I have the same doubt. You have to answer it for us.
If a normal computer cannot execute the program, then will it have a computer industrial application? Okay, so this okay, so if a normal computer cannot execute a program, I don't know, I'm not able to conceive this definition properly, but whatever I'm able to read through it and understand through it, I'll try to answer it. So it's not necessary that computer only executes a program, because we have, small processors, Arduinos, uh,
Raspberry Pi.
Raspberry Pi, and other motherboards. So these are all microprocessors. They're not big computers, they are microprocessors, which do the processing part and execution part. Another thing is, in India, it is not the case. Like computer program product, what is the CPP, or we call it CPP claims, computer programmable product claims, or yeah. Okay, so these claims, CPP claims, they are valid in Europe and US, but they are not valid in India. What are they? For example, Shalini, we use our digital signatures in the form of pen drives, or we have
Right.
some program in the form of pen drive.
Yes.
So whenever I want to use that program, I'll put that pen drive into my computer, and then processing will take place. So it is processing taking place in the form of programmable product.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
that's why it is called CPP. So these are valid in US, to some extent in Europe, but not in India. So that's why in Indian applications we do not include these claims, but outside India we do include these claims as well. They're also called CRM claims,
Yeah.
computer readable medium. So next, Jay says, so the approach should be set up the company in US and file a utility patent. No, Jay, so it's the terminology utility patent in US is called patent in India. So the terminology is different, but the process and
Process is
everything
same.
is exactly the same. So you do not have to have a company like the company in US is not required the if you want to file a patent. And more, and also being an Indian citizen, you can file a patent in US. You do not have to set up a company there if it is not required. It's absolutely a business decision, but for filing patent it is not required.
Yeah. Only if you're filing abroad without filing in India, you should get a foreign filing license.
Correct. So, Shalini, next is how does legal text deal with SaaS platform based product, which produces tangible output in form of design, data, etc.
Go ahead.
So, for this, see, for SaaS based platforms, also it is very, very difficult to give you the correct answer unless we know the SaaS uh, platform. But if it is, just processing, I can say it in the manner like if it is just processing some kind of data, be it videos, audios, or anything. If it is just processing certain kind of data and not producing anything else, and it's just a tool to process data, it is very difficult to get a patent. If we can club it, like for example, we have a microphone, and so in certain manner the audio signals are captured in a different sense, and those get processed in a different sense, then maybe like if you club it with sensors, audio sensors, video sensors, and things like that, to some extent we can say that it could be patentable. But if it is just processing, the processing of mere data, it would be very difficult to get a patent.
Right. So you have to show an inventive step there
Yeah,
and something that is non-obvious.
correct. So I think that is very, very important to show, like me, if what kind of mere computer functioning we are not doing, what extra steps we are taking that which a general purpose computer cannot do.
Yeah. So we so that mathematical method, business method, and computer program per se, they all come under the same category, and uh, we have to ensure that it doesn't do some basic calculation, does not do some a business method with some unspecified, undetermined means, and it should not be just a mere set of rules such as an algorithm. And if you are talking about computer programs and set of instructions, routines, just a storage medium, database, none of those things are protected. To recap,
Yes. Shalini, at last, would you like? I think we have last 1 minute. Would you like to differentiate or between copyright and patent, and why should? Okay, let me frame it in the sense like, should we, according to you, file a copyright on whatever things we cannot file a patent on?
no. Honestly, no, because uh, copyright it's a good act, but it's a weak protection for something that is technical. And I feel that uh, when we are applying for a copyright, we are thinking of it more from an artistic point of view. We are in that frame of literary, dramatic, musical, artistic works, cinematographic film, sound recording. So, in that, to put something technical and say, okay, now we are going to get protection for this, and then even if it is life of the author plus 70 years, it doesn't help me
Yeah,
because someone else can use that same source code or change the language and get a protection for it.
correct, correct, correct.
And so I do not advise my clients to go in for a copyright.
Yes, absolutely. As Shalini said, just to give you an example, for example, you have developed your app or computer program in Python, and it is protected. Your code is protected. Nobody can use your code as it is, but they can read your code and they can make it in C++, and then you will not be able to stop it if you just have a copyright on it,
Right.
because copyright protects the work as it is in the form of expressions or whatever you have mentioned in your product. So we have one last comment from Jay. She says innovation, mixing two or more prevailing model and combining and offering them as packages, wherein end user saves times, achieves higher accuracy, efficiency, and lower cost. So, Shalini, would you like to add or anything?
I thought it would come under mere arrangement and rearrangement.
So
How
yes,
do you prove efficacy? How do you prove improved efficacy?
so I think because it is a software which is doing this, everything is an advantage. Like end user saves time, advantage, achieves higher accuracy, advantage, efficiency is good, advantage, cost is lower, advantage. All these are advantages. So advantage wise it's good. Wise, mixing two or more prevailing models, so I am believing they are data models, and combining them and offering them as packages. So we do not see an, what from whatever I can perceive from this, I may be wrong, because if we go into the invention in detail, the answer could be something different. But here we do not see an inventive step. Inventive step is what are you doing, or what is your product doing, which has not been done anywhere in the world up till now. So
Synergy of the two models should be there.
correct. So what are you doing which is not being done anywhere in the world, and why? When it comes to computer program, we also have to answer why. Like why wasn't it being done up till now?
Yeah.
And if we have good answers to then we are closer to getting a patent.
But otherwise, I think just merely sticking to things back to back and saying, okay, now this is something new, it does not work even in other sections of the of the Patent Act.
Yeah, definitely. As Shalini said, it will come under mere arrangement, rearrangement in other technology areas. So yes, Shalini, any last words?
No last words. Famous last words. Computer program per se is not patentable. And so I still don't know what to do with my app.
So with your app, something extra which is not a mere computer functioning.
So app, just quick last, okay, since you asked for last words, my problem is that apps cannot be protected under copyright because it's too technical. I don't want to go for the source code protection. I don't want to go in for patent because it's too much of a commitment, because someone is going to look at the app and they're going to come up with a better, faster, different app. And then there's no point in the app. I mean, or rather, it does not have that draw of customers and saleability. So for 20 years, maintaining it also doesn't help me. So there has to be like a shorter term protection for these new things that come in.
Correct. That's why I spoke about utility models or some kind of protection which is valid for lesser number of years, because the technology is developing very, very fast. We do
Yes,
not need a 20-year protection. In 20 years, all our technology will die and new technology will come up. But for
exactly.
short-term protection, we need something.
We need something. We need for apps and even mobile, the way mobile phones look, all sorts of things. There are just headphones.
But
Technology is, the fashion is changing too fast. So we need a law that grants that short term protection.
Shalini, just quickly one point regarding apps. Though business models and computer programs of apps are not protected, I just want to put this in front that your user interface is still protected. If somebody copies your interface as it is, the color combination, your name, everything, and depicts itself an as their own app, then it would be a case of probably trademark infringement if you
Trade
have filed
trade dress,
one,
yeah.
and copyright infringement if you haven't filed, because your the look of the app is somewhere protected under artistic work.
Mm. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. So with this we end.
So what's on plan? What's the agenda for next week?
Next week, I think we'll do something with AI. I just got a query. I'll discuss it with you.
Okay.
Okay,
All
so
right.
something with AI we'll discuss next week. Thank you so
AI
much.
ML is the buzzword.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
so much.
much, everyone, for joining. Thank you, Shalini. I
Thank
look
you,
forward to
Priggya.
seeing
See
you.
ya.
Bye bye.